Remember Atita. During times of war in a country, it is common for people to experience loss. Mothers lose their children, children lose their parents, sisters lose their brothers, and friends are separated from one another. At this moment, Atita is in Gulu town, searching for her friends. All she has to guide her in this quest is an old photograph, taken 18 years ago. At night, she finds shelter on the verandas of shops, along with children from the villages. These children are in hiding from rebel forces, making Atita's search seem almost impossible. However, Atita remains unwavering in her hope, refusing to give up on her quest. In the nursery rhyme with the 10 green bottles, which we used to sing in 1985, there were originally 5 green bottles standing on the wall, in a photograph from that time. There are 5 joyful faces looking at us. We stand together with our arms around each other's shoulders, gazing at the camera, our eyes gleaming. We don't seem to notice our torn clothes, or our legs covered in brown soil. We smile, even with some missing teeth. Fast forward to 2003. I now hold the aged photograph in my hands. It's worn and no longer shines in the light from the shop signpost above me. I hand the photo to Okuma, who sits next to me with his legs crossed. There are several of us sitting on the shop veranda's floor. A radio plays loud music, and I'm trying to explain to Okuma why I've returned to Gulu town to search for the girls in the photo. We choose to spend the night in town on the veranda, as it's safer than being in the villages, which are vulnerable to attacks by LRA rebels. We speak softly to avoid waking the other children who are asleep. Okuma and I are kept awake by our fear of the night, so we talk to keep it at bay. Looking at the faces in the photograph feels strange. I've been away for too long. I'm unsure if they will recognize me when we meet, and I start to feel a void inside me. Tears well up in my eyes, and Okuma takes my hand, whispering that it's okay to cry. Our eyes meet, and I smile. My finger trembles as I point to the faces in the photo. Leica stands close to me in the picture. She and I share the same birthday, and we were more like sisters than friends. We had many great times together. I wonder how she looks now. Okuma asks why I left Gulu, and I'm unsure how to respond. I mention that we leave places when we need to start anew, but I don't reveal the true reason. I change the subject. We discuss our family situations, and we both realize that we're the only ones left in our respective families. We feel like 2 lonely stars in the sky. I acknowledge the challenges of my search, considering all that has transpired since I last saw my friends. However, I remain determined to find Leica, because I believe she needs me. I have only this old, unrecognized photo to guide me. Later, Okuma falls asleep, but he has a recurring nightmare about the rebels. He dreams of being taken from his mother, just as it happened to his siblings. I comfort him, singing the nursery rhyme, and he eventually goes back to sleep. In his hopeful moments, he dreams of becoming the president and ending the war. When Okuma is feeling down, he expresses his wish to see his mother smile again. I continue singing the nursery rhyme. We are 5 out of the 10 green bottles on the wall. If one green bottle accidentally falls, We wonder which one of us fell first. My excitement is palpable as I arrive at Gulu Hospital. I discover that Leica is at the hospital, and someone guides me through the facility, navigating past patients lying on the floor and dealing with flies everywhere. We pass a bed where a young girl is crying in pain. Due to a landmine accident, her legs missing. An older woman sits with her, swatting away flies. I'm eager to reach Leica's bed, but I find her asleep. We stand silently, watching as the cheerful child from the photo has become this sick woman, covered with a torn blue blanket, with the bed sheet discolored. I had waited for this moment for 4 weeks, hoping for a joyful reunion and reminiscing about old times, but I didn't anticipate that our meeting would be in a hospital. I attempt to touch her, but the guide stops me, saying she's still asleep. Leica suddenly awakens, her eyes expressionless. I smile at her, but she continues to stare at me. Her thin, oily, and sweaty face unsettling. I think the blanket is too hot for her and move closer, whispering her name. I don't think she remembers me. I try to remind her of who I am, mentioning that I'm Atita, her close friend and Wako Chaka's granddaughter. She utters Wako Chaka and too, and I confirm that Wako Chaka is no longer with us. I recall a time when I told him about a game we played, which had angered him. She doesn't seem to recognize me yet. So I express my desire to know what happened to the others. The guide insists it's time to leave, and I want to stay, but he won't permit it. I lean down and whisper in Leica's ear, asking her to remember Atita. That evening, on the shop veranda, Okuma inquires if I had a chance to talk with her, and whether she remembered me. I reply that she didn't, but I remember Okuma. She tells me that she kept a sleeping place for me on the veranda. I inquired about Wako Chaka's passing, but her response doesn't indicate that she remembers me. I am disappointed by her lack of recognition, and I want her to recall Atita. Okuma apologizes and suggests that we stop discussing it. As the other children are becoming restless, we sit on the veranda, and occasionally, a figure passes by or a dog runs past. But most of the time, the town square where we're situated is empty because the townspeople stay locked in their homes. I continue to ponder the fact that Leica doesn't remember me, and that perhaps I've changed too much. We've become strangers to each other, different people due to the passage of time and distance. This change is the price we pay in the game of life. I haven't discovered why she's in Gulu Hospital. It's possible that a serious illness has caused her to forget everything. In the morning, the other children run home to prepare for school. I return to Gulu Hospital, sitting by her bedside. I hold her hands and repeatedly tell her about Wako Chaka and his family. She reaches out and touches my face. I hope this means she'll remember me today. Our hands move over my face and pause at the scar beneath my chin. I got that scar from falling off a seesaw once. Then she looks at my neck. She used to appreciate the lines around my neck, and would tell me that I didn't need to wear a necklace because I had a natural one. I hope she will say Atita, bangle-necked Atita. If she says it now, I will know that she remembers me. I watch her face with anticipation, waiting for a smile that would signal her recognition. Suddenly, she pulls away from me, her eyes vacant and expressionless. I want to remain by her side until she remembers me. I've come to learn that she was found lying in the street near the hospital. And no one knows her story, but it's likely to be a common one. I hope that if she can remember the past and the good times, it might help her recover. She hasn't spoken since arriving here. I call her name, but there's no response, nothing. I decide to show her something. I take out the photo and hold it before her eyes, holding my breath with the hope that she'll remember. She stares at the photo. I ask, "Do you remember?" and point to the faces. "See, you're here in the photo." Perhaps Leica will never remember anything. But I'm determined to learn about the others. 5 bright smiling faces in a photo. I visit her at the hospital every day, trying to help Leica. Each time I say Wako Chaka, she gives the same response, 1 or 2, Wako Chaka or 2. I repeat her words. I would like to tell her about my little friend Okuma. We long for a life where we don't have to sleep on verandas to escape from the rebels. A life where we can laugh and live carefree. Another evening on the veranda, Okuma asks about Leica. I respond, "She's fine," without looking at him. I add, "Nearly fine." Okuma advises me to leave Gulu and return to my comfortable life where I used to live. He thinks it's crazy to search for friends who won't remember me. I explain that I spend nights on the veranda because my friends had to live like this, while I slept safe and warm. I feel ashamed that I wasn't with them during those times. The rain helps wash away the pain in my heart. I tell Okuma, but he can't understand why I visit Leica every day. A cameraman passes by and takes pictures of us. Okuma spits at him. I question Okuma's actions, and he explains that the cameraman is making money from our misery, perhaps for the newspapers. I realize that I am new to this life of homelessness, and know very little about it. That night, we hear heavy gunshots in the distance, a stark reminder of the ongoing challenges and dangers in Gulu. The voices of the other children fall silent, and the radio is switched off. Okuma recognizes the type of gun from the sound it makes. Leica manages a smile today, and she's a bit friendlier. Her fingers move over my face, tracing the scar beneath my chin. Perhaps the gunfire in the distance is saying something to her, and she smiles. In a soft whisper, she says, "Yes, Atita, Wako Chaka." She acknowledges my presence. I respond by repeating her words. I look into her eyes and find myself transported back in time. I assist her in sitting up and drinking some black tea. I pull out the torn photo and point to the other girls. Leica looks at me, and her eyes convey that she recognizes the names. Her eyes take on a distant look, and her words become rapid and strange. Leica tells me that men came to the village and took the girls away. They tied them with ropes and forced them to walk a long distance. Some of the men used sticks or guns to push the girls to move faster. I leave her bedside, rush outside, and burst into tears. Leica lifts her head and looks at me. She laughs lightly and whispers, "Atita, bangle-necked Atita." A smile appears on her lips. She remembered,